What's going on, everyone? It's black magic here. We've got something amazing for you today. What if the basilisk in the chamber chose Harry as its true master at age 5 through the Scar connection? Real quick, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Join thousands of story lovers and hit that subscribe button. Alright, story time. Chapter 1, The Voice in the Darkness. Harry Potter curled into a tight ball on his lumpy mattress in the cupboard under the stairs, trying to muffle his sniffles. His 5th birthday had come and gone without acknowledgement, not even the customary old sock from Uncle Vernon. A fresh bruise bloomed on his skinny arm where Dudley had shoved him into the kitchen counter earlier that day, and his stomach growled persistently. Freak, he whispered to himself, parroting his aunt's favorite word. Worthless freak. The darkness of the cupboard pressed in around him, broken only by thin strips of light filtering through the slats in the door. Outside, he could hear the Dursleys laughing at something on the television, probably that game show Uncle Vernon liked with the spinning wheel. Harry closed his eyes, willing himself to sleep, to escape. That's when he first heard it, a soft, silky voice that seemed to come from inside his own head. Little speaker, so much pain in one so young. Harry's eyes flew open. He sat up too quickly and knocked his head on the low ceiling. Be still, little one. They cannot hear me. Only you. Who are you? Harry whispered, heart racing. Where are you? I am far below, deep in stone and secrets. I have slept for many years, but your pain, it called to me through the old magic in your blood. Harry touched his fingers to the lightning-shaped scar on his forehead. It felt oddly warm. Yes, child. The mark. It connects us. Are you a ghost? Harry asked, equal parts terrified and fascinated. A sound like laughter, but more like scales sliding across stone, echoed in his mind. No, little speaker. I am very much alive. I am Sathka, guardian of the chamber, servant of Slytherin, and you carry the essence that awakened me. Harry pulled his knees to his chest. I don't understand. You will, in time. You are special, Harry Potter. Not a freak. Never a freak. You are a wizard, and one with a great destiny. A wizard? Harry breathed. Like, magic? Yes. Magic flows through your veins. I can sense its power, even from here. Those who keep you, they know this, and they fear it. The Dursleys know. Harry's voice rose slightly, and he quickly glanced at the cupboard door, worried about being overheard. They suspect. The woman, your mother's sister, she remembers enough to fear what you might become. Harry digested this information slowly. It explained so much, the strange things that happened around him, the way Glass had once vanished at the zoo, how his hair had grown back overnight after Aunt Petunia had butchered it. Can you teach me? About magic? Harry asked hesitantly. Yes, little speaker. I have slept beneath this castle for centuries. I have absorbed the knowledge of Salazar Slytherin himself. I will teach you what I know, and when you come to Hogwarts, you will be ready. Hogwarts? The school of magic where I dwell. You will receive your letter when you turn 11. Until then, we must prepare you secretly. They cannot know of our connection. Harry's eyes widened. 6 years seemed like forever, but the idea of escaping the Dursleys, of going to a magical school, it kindled something warm inside him that felt dangerously like hope. Will you stay with me? Harry asked, suddenly afraid the voice would disappear. I will be with you each night, Harry Potter. Now sleep. Tomorrow, we begin. Harry woke the next morning with a strange sense of anticipation. Had he dreamed the voice? It had seemed so real, but in the harsh light of day filtering through the cupboard vents, magic and talking snakes, for somehow Harry knew Sathka was Serpentine, seemed impossible. The day dragged by with the usual chores and Dursley avoidance strategies. Harry weeded the garden, dodged Dudley's punches, and scraped together a meager lunch from leftovers while Aunt Petunia pretended not to notice. By nightfall, exhaustion had convinced Harry that last night's conversation had been nothing but a desperate dream. Then, as he curled up on his mattress and darkness fell, the voice returned. "You doubt, little speaker. This is wise. In this world, trust must be earned." "You're real," Harry gasped. "As real as your magic. Extend your hand and think of light." Harry hesitated, then held out his palm in the darkness. "Light," he whispered, imagining a small flame like a candle. Nothing happened. "Focus. Feel the energy inside you. Direct it through your fingers. Magic responds to will and intent before words." Harry closed his eyes and concentrated, imagining warmth flowing from his chest down his arm to his fingertips. The familiar tingle he sometimes felt before strange things happened intensified, and when he opened his eyes, a faint bluish glow hovered above his palm. "I did it!" Harry whispered excitedly, staring at the small globe of light. It wasn't bright, barely enough to illuminate his own face, but it was definitely magic. "Good. Very good for a first attempt. Now release it slowly." Harry relaxed his focus, and the light dimmed and vanished. "You have natural talent, as I suspected. The ability to perform magic without a proper wand is rare, especially in one so young. Will I get a wand? When I go to this Hogwarts?" "Yes. All young wizards receive wands. But the magic is in you, not the tool. Remember this." Harry nodded eagerly. "What else can I learn? Can I make things fly? Or disappear? Or, patience, little speaker. Magic without proper control is dangerous. We begin with the foundations, understanding your own power, controlling it, and, most importantly, concealing it from those who would fear or exploit it." "The Dursleys," Harry said quietly. "And others. There are many in the wizarding world who would use you for your fame." "Fame? Me?" Harry laughed softly. "Nobody even knows I exist except the Dursleys." Safka's voice grew serious. "In the world beyond this house, your name is known to all. You survived what none before you had survived. You vanquished a great darkness as a mere infant." Harry touched his scar again. This is from that, isn't it? The thing that makes me famous?" "Yes. The night your parents died. They didn't die in a car crash." A hiss of anger rippled through Harry's mind. "A car crash?" "No, Harry Potter. Your parents were murdered by a powerful dark wizard called Voldemort. He tried to kill you too, but somehow, the curse rebounded. It left that mark upon you and reduced him to less than a spirit. That is why your name is known, the boy who lived, they call you." Harry sat in stunned silence, processing this revelation. His parents hadn't died in some drunk driving accident. They'd been murdered by an evil wizard. And somehow, baby Harry had defeated him. Why did he want to kill us? That is a longer tale, for another night. For now, you must rest. Tomorrow, I will teach you to quiet your mind. If we are to communicate across distance, you must learn to control your thoughts." Harry wanted to protest, to demand more answers immediately, but exhaustion tugged at him. The small light spell had drained him more than he realized. "Promise you'll tell me everything?" he asked sleepily. "In time, little speaker. In time." The weeks that followed established a pattern. During the day, Harry was the Dursleys' unwanted burden, cooking, cleaning, and staying out of the way. But at night, in the safety of his cupboard, he became a student of ancient magic, guided by the basilisk beneath a school he'd never seen. Safka taught him to meditate first, to quiet his mind and strengthen their mental connection. Harry learned to build what the basilisk called memory walls, mental barriers to protect his thoughts and their secret. "The headmaster of Hogwarts can read minds," Safka explained one night. As can several of the professors. You must shield our connection from them. They just look into people's heads whenever they want. Harry asked, horrified. Some have more scruples than others, but yes, the art of legilimency allows this. The defense, occlumency, is what I am teaching you through these exercises. Harry redoubled his efforts after that. The idea of anyone rummaging through his private thoughts was violating enough, but the thought of losing Safka, the first friend he'd ever had, was unbearable. By the time winter arrived, Harry could hold a small light for nearly an hour, move small objects across his cupboard with concentration, and, most exciting of all, understand and speak to garden snakes. Parseltongue is a rare gift, Safka told him as Harry excitedly recounted his conversation with a small grass snake he'd found while gardening. Few wizards possess it naturally. It marks you as special, connected to Salazar Slytherin's lineage. But I thought this Voldemort person was the heir of Slytherin, Harry said, confused. Safka had gradually revealed more about the wizarding world, including the 4 Hogwarts houses and their founders. He was, or claimed to be. When his killing curse rebounded, I believe a fragment of his power transferred to you through that scar. It is why you can speak to serpents, and why you can hear me across such distance. Harry touched his scar thoughtfully. So I have his powers. Does that make me, like him? Power itself is neither good nor evil, little speaker. The choice of how to use it, that defines the wizard. Salazar was not evil, despite what history may claim. Ambitious, yes. Selective about his students, certainly. But not the monster later generations painted him. And the real monster is in my head, Harry murmured. No. You carry an echo, nothing more. Your soul remains your own, Harry Potter. Harry wasn't entirely convinced, but he continued his lessons diligently. By his 6th birthday, he could perform several wandless spells consistently, creating light, moving objects, warming his cupboard on cold nights, and even mending his broken glasses without tape. The Dursleys noticed changes in him they couldn't quite explain. He seemed more confident, less affected by their neglect. Strange incidents decreased as Harry gained control of his accidental magic, but new oddities replaced them, food missing from the refrigerator when Harry should have been hungry, lights glowing under the cupboard door late at night, and whispered conversations when Harry was definitely alone. Uncle Vernon doubled the locks on the cupboard. Aunt Petunia assigned more chores. Dudley grew increasingly frustrated that his cousin no longer cried or cowered when bullied. Harry simply endured, sustained by Safka's nightly teachings and the promise of escape at age 11. On Harry's 7th birthday, again unacknowledged by the Dursleys, Safka proposed a new challenge. You have mastered basic control. Now we must test the limits of our connection. Tonight, while you sleep, I want you to try to see through my eyes. Is that possible? Harry asked, both excited and nervous. The magic that connects us works both ways. I have glimpsed your world through your senses. It is time you saw mine. That night, Harry lay on his mattress, focusing as Safka had taught him. He imagined following the thread of their connection backward, traveling down into darkness and stone. His consciousness stretched, pulled, and suddenly, Harry gasped. He was seeing a massive, dimly lit chamber with towering stone pillars carved with serpents. The perspective was strange, low to the ground but massive, moving with a sinuous, gliding motion. Colors appeared muted, but heat signatures glowed brightly, rats skittering in corners, water flowing through ancient pipes. Easy, little speaker, Safka's voice sounded different here, more resonant. Your first journey should be brief. The strain is considerable. Harry caught a glimpse of something reflective, water perhaps, and for a split second, saw Safka's reflection, an enormous serpent with luminous yellow eyes and scales the color of deep emeralds. The connection snapped, and Harry found himself back in his cupboard, sweating and shaking. You did well, Safka commended. Most wizards could never achieve such a connection. You're huge, Harry whispered, awestruck. And the chamber, it's beautiful. It was Salazar's masterpiece. One day, you will walk its floors yourself. For now, rest. These journeys will become easier with practice. Over the following months, Harry's mental visits to the chamber grew longer and more controlled. He explored the vast space through Sathka's eyes, learning its secrets, hidden passageways, ancient texts carved into the walls and Parseltongue, and a magnificent statue of Salazar Slytherin himself. During one such visit, Sathka revealed a vital secret. There is a diary, the Basilisk explained, showing Harry an image of a small black book. Created by the heir of Slytherin before me, Tom Riddle, who became Lord Voldemort. He stored a piece of his soul within it. Like what's in my scar? Harry asked. Similar, but more deliberate, more complete. These objects are called Horcruxes, the darkest magic. They anchor the Creator to the living world, preventing true death. So Voldemort isn't really gone, Harry realized with growing horror. He could come back. Yes. The diary will find its way to Hogwarts eventually. When it does, we must be ready. It seeks to open the chamber and unleash me against the school. Harry felt sick. Would you have killed students? Sathka was silent for a long moment. I was bound by magic to obey the heir. I did not wish to harm children, but I would have had no choice. Your connection has freed me from that compulsion, Harry Potter. You are my master now, not by force or magical binding, but by choice. The weight of this responsibility settled heavily on Harry's young shoulders. I'll never ask you to hurt anyone. I know, little speaker. That is why I chose you. By age 9, Harry had outgrown his cupboard, literally and figuratively. After a particularly impressive incident where Harry accidentally vanished all the glass in the house windows during a fight with Dudley, Vernon Dursley decided that containing Harry's freakishness required more space. Harry was reluctantly moved to Dudley's second bedroom, which, while still sparse and unwelcoming, offered more privacy for his magical education. Harry's connection with Sathka had grown powerful enough that they could communicate briefly during daylight hours, though it required more concentration. His wandless magic had expanded to include simple shields, minor healing spells for his injuries, and even the ability to make himself less noticeable when he wanted to avoid Dursley attention. Not true invisibility, Sathka explained. But a suggestion to weak minds that you are not worth noticing. This particular skill proved invaluable at school, where Dudley's gang could suddenly lose track of Harry during playground hunts, and teachers who might have questioned his home situation would inexplicably forget to follow up on concerns. Harry had also begun exploring beyond Privet Drive, using his Parseltongue abilities to make friends with the local snake population. They became his eyes and ears, bringing news and gossip from around Little Whinging. It was a grass snake named Fern who first warned him about the Watcher. There's a human who smells of cats and cabbage, Fern reported, coiled comfortably on a garden wall while Harry pretended to weed nearby. She watches this nest often. Her scent is different. Like yours, but older. Harry casually scanned the street and spotted Mrs. Figg, the batty old lady who sometimes watched him when the Dursleys went out. He'd always found it strange that she seemed simultaneously disinterested in him yet constantly vigilant. That night, he discussed the discovery with Sathka. A watcher is not surprising, the Basilisk mused. Dumbledore would have placed guardians around you. This woman may be a squib. A what? Someone born to magical parents but without magic themselves. They can see our world but not participate fully. Perfect for monitoring a young wizard without drawing attention. Harry frowned. So Dumbledore's been spying on me all this time, but never bothered to check how the Dursleys treat me. Sathka's anger rippled through their connection. The headmaster plays a long game, little speaker. Your suffering here serves some purpose in his plans. What purpose could possibly justify this? Harry gestured around his sparse bedroom. That is what we must discover. But carefully. The old wizard is powerful and clever. We must not reveal our hand too soon. Harry nodded grimly. His mental list of questions for the wizarding world grew longer every day. On Harry's 10th birthday, Safka gave him a special gift, knowledge of how to access the Chamber of Secrets when he finally reached Hogwarts. The entrance lies in a girl's bathroom on the 2nd floor, Safka explained. Abandoned now, haunted by the ghost of Salazar's last victim. Last victim? Harry asked sharply. 50 years ago, Tom Riddle opened the chamber and directed me to kill. A girl died before I could resist his commands. Her spirit remains. Harry felt a fresh wave of determination. He would put things right when he got to Hogwarts. The basilisk would no longer be a weapon but a protector. The entrance will open to Parseltongue, Safka continued. Simply say, "Open," to the sink marked with a serpent, and the passage will appear. But Harry, you must be cautious. My gaze kills any who look directly into my eyes. Even me? Harry asked, alarmed. I do not know. Our connection may protect you, but we cannot risk it. When we meet physically, you must look at my reflection or at my body, never directly at my eyes until we are certain. Harry added this to his growing mental checklist of survival tips for the wizarding world. The final year before Hogwarts passed in a blur of preparation. Harry worked to perfect his occlumency shields, practicing against Safka's gentle mental probes. He refined his wandless magic, though Safka warned him not to reveal this ability at school. Such power without training will raise questions. Let them believe you are merely talented, not extraordinary. Keep your true abilities hidden until needed. Harry also convinced Safka to teach him about the politics of the wizarding world, the aftermath of the war against Voldemort, the major families and their allegiances, and the complex prejudices that divided magical society. Knowledge is power, Safka reminded him often. In Slytherin's time, this was understood. Today, too many wizards rely solely on the strength of their spells, forgetting that true influence comes from understanding the field on which you play. The morning of Harry's 11th birthday dawned with no indication that it would be different from any other day. The Dursleys made no mention of the date, assigning Harry his usual chores before Vernon left for work and Dudley went to torment neighborhood children. Harry was weeding the garden, carrying on a quiet conversation with a blind slow worm about the weather, when the first owl arrived. It swooped down in broad daylight, dropping a thick envelope right into Harry's dirt-streaked hands before flying off. Harry stared at the address, written in emerald ink, Mr. H. Potter, the smallest bedroom 4, Privet Drive, Little Whinging, Surrey. His hands trembled as he broke the wax seal bearing an elaborate coat of arms. It has come, Safka's voice whispered in his mind, unusually clear despite the daylight. Your invitation to Hogwarts. The first step to our reunion. Harry slipped the letter into his oversized pants pocket and finished his gardening with mechanical movements, mind racing. That evening, safely in his room, he read the full contents to Safka, who helped explain the list of required supplies. The real question is how they expect you to respond or purchase these items, Safka said. Traditionally, Muggleborn students receive a visit from a professor to explain everything. As if on cue, a thunderous knock rattled the front door downstairs. Harry heard Uncle Vernon's angry mutterings, followed by a voice that seemed too large for the house. Ah, Safka sounded amused. Hagrid. Dumbledore's gamekeeper. Interesting choice. Harry listened as chaos erupted below, Vernon shouting, Petunia shrieking, and a booming, friendly voice cutting through it all. Minutes later, heavy footsteps ascended the stairs, and the biggest man Harry had ever seen ducked through his bedroom doorway. And here's Harry, the giant said cheerfully. Last time I saw you, you was only a baby. Yeah, look a lot like your dad, but you've got your mom's eyes. Harry stared, momentarily speechless. The man had a wild tangle of hair and beard but kind, crinkled eyes that immediately put Harry at ease. Hello, Harry managed finally. You're from Hogwarts. Rubeus Hagrid, keeper of keys and grounds, the giant confirmed proudly. Come take ya to get your school things. Blimey, Harry, didn't them Dursleys tell ya anything about Hogwarts? Harry thought quickly. Sathka had warned him not to reveal their connection. No, he lied smoothly. They just said my parents died in a car crash. Hagrid's face darkened with anger. A car crash. A car crash kill Lily and James Potter. It's an outrage. A scandal. Harry let Hagrid's indignation wash over him, playing the role of the ignorant boy learning about magic for the first time. He asked carefully planned questions, feigning appropriate surprise at each revelation, while Sathka listened through their connection. Perfect, the Basilisk commended as Hagrid explained about Voldemort. Let him believe you know nothing. It gives us advantage. The next morning, Harry accompanied Hagrid to London, experiencing the wizarding world physically for the first time. The leaky cauldron was exactly as Sathka had described it, down to the gloomy lighting and the strange assortment of patrons. Harry was prepared for the recognition, the whispers of, "It's Harry Potter," that followed him, though he pretended to be bewildered by the attention. Diagon Alley took his breath away. Despite Sathka's detailed descriptions, seeing the magical shopping district with his own eyes was overwhelming, the colors, sounds, and sheer energy of so much magic concentrated in one place. At Gringotts, Harry was fascinated by the goblins and shocked by the fortune his parents had left him. Hagrid's mysterious retrieval of a small package from Vault 713 caught Harry's attention immediately. The timing is suspicious, Sathka commented. Dumbledore arranging for you to witness this secret errand. What do you think it is? Harry subvocalized, having practiced speaking to Sathka without moving his lips. Something valuable enough to warrant maximum security, yet small enough to fit in a pocket. A magical artifact of great power, perhaps. We will watch developments carefully. The shopping expedition continued with Harry collecting his school supplies. At Madame Malkin's, he encountered a pale, pointed-faced boy who could only be a Malfoy, based on Sathka's descriptions of the old families. Harry observed him quietly, neither engaging nor antagonizing, filing away the interaction for future reference. The wand shop proved most interesting. Ollivander's eerie silver eyes seemed to look right through Harry, making him fortify his occlumency shields instinctively. I've been expecting you, Mr. Potter, the wand-maker said softly. It seems only yesterday that your mother and father were in here buying their first wands. The process of finding Harry's wand was lengthy, with Ollivander growing increasingly excited with each failure. When Harry finally grasped the Holly and Phoenix feather wand, a rush of warmth flooded through him, more focused than his wandless magic but somehow more constraining too. Curious, very curious, Ollivander murmured. What's curious? Harry asked, already suspecting the answer from Sathka's teachings. I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter. The phoenix whose tail feather resides in your wand gave another feather, just one other. It is curious that you should be destined for this wand when its brother gave you that scar. Harry nodded solemnly. Voldemort's wand. Ollivander flinched at the name but looked impressed. Yes. We can expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he who must not be named did great things, terrible, yes, but great. Interesting, Sathka commented as they left the shop. Your wands are brothers. This may prove significant when you eventually face him again. You think I will? Harry whispered as Hagrid led him to buy a trunk. I know you will, little speaker. It is inevitable. But when that day comes, you will not face him alone. The final month at Privet Drive passed quickly. Harry devoured his textbooks, connecting the formal educational material with the more esoteric knowledge Sathka had already provided. The Basilisk helped him understand the theory behind spells he'd been performing wandlessly for years, explaining how the wand would both amplify and focus his natural abilities. Wizards become dependent on their wands, Sathka cautioned. Do not lose your ability to channel magic directly. It may save your life one day. Harry practiced basic spells with his wand in the privacy of his room, marveling at how much easier certain types of magic became with the proper tool. Yet for subtle work, his occlumency shields, his mental connection to Sathka, his parseltongue abilities, the wand seemed almost superfluous. On his final night at Privet Drive, Harry lay awake long after midnight, too excited to sleep. "What if I'm sorted into Slytherin?" he asked Sathka. This question had been bothering him since learning about the house system. Hagrid said there wasn't a witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. "Hagrid oversimplifies," Sathka replied. "Peter Pettigrew, who betrayed your parents, was a Gryffindor. Whereas Andromeda Tonks, née Black, was a Slytherin who rejected her family's dark path. Houses are frameworks, not destinies. But people will expect the boy who lived to be in Gryffindor like his parents." "And what do you want, Harry Potter?" "Not what is expected, what do you desire?" Harry considered this carefully. "I want to learn. To grow strong enough that no one can hurt me again. To make real friends. To understand this world I'm entering. Those are qualities valued across all houses. Remember, the Sorting Hat takes your choice into account. You are not merely sorted, you help choose your path." This was comforting. Harry had worried that the enchanted hat Sathka described might somehow reveal their connection or force him into a house that would complicate his secret visits to the chamber. "We'll still be able to communicate at Hogwarts, right?" Harry asked anxiously. "More clearly than ever," Sathka assured him. "Distance weakens our bond. At Hogwarts, with only the castle stones between us, we will speak as easily as we do now. And soon, you will find your way to the chamber, and we shall meet properly at last." Harry smiled into the darkness. Tomorrow, everything would change. He would board the Hogwarts Express, leaving Privet Drive behind. He would begin life as a proper wizard, with friends his own age and teachers to guide him. But unlike the other first years, Harry Potter wouldn't be entering the magical world alone or unprepared. He carried with him 6 years of secret knowledge, wandless magical training, and the friendship of an ancient, powerful creature waiting beneath the school. The boy who lived was coming to Hogwarts, and the wizarding world had no idea what to expect. "Sleep now, little speaker," Sathka's voice grew gentle. "Tomorrow begins your true journey." Harry closed his eyes, drifting off to dreams of stone chambers, ancient magic, and a future where he controlled his own destiny. Chapter 2, Heir of Two Houses. Platform 9 3/4 buzzed with activity as Harry pushed his trolley through the barrier. The scarlet steam engine gleamed under the station lights, and the platform teemed with students saying goodbyes to parents, loading trunks, and chasing escaped pets. No one paid particular attention to a skinny boy with taped glasses and a lightning scar, not yet, anyway. Harry soaked in the magical atmosphere, cross-referencing everything with what Sathka had taught him. "Remember, little speaker," Sathka's voice whispered in his mind, clearer than it had ever been during their years of separation. "Observe before engaging. Your first impressions will set the stage for your years here." Harry nodded imperceptibly and maneuvered his trunk toward the train. A family of redheads caught his attention, a harried-looking mother with 5 children, all with flaming hair and freckles. "Fred, you next," the mother said, directing one of 2 identical boys. "I'm not Fred, I'm George," the boy replied with exasperation. "Honestly, woman, you call yourself our mother?" Harry smiled as he watched the twins' antics. These must be the Weasleys, one of the light families Sathka had mentioned in his political lessons. After the red-headed twins helped Harry load his trunk, he found an empty compartment and settled in, watching the platform through the window. The Weasley mother fussed over her youngest son, cleaning a smudge off his nose while he squirmed in embarrassment. The compartment door slid open, and the youngest Weasley boy poked his head in. "Anyone sitting there?" he asked, pointing to the seat opposite Harry. "Everywhere else is full." Harry gestured welcomingly. "All yours." "I'm Ron." "Ron Weasley," the boy said, flopping into the seat. "Harry Potter," Harry replied, watching Ron's reaction with interest. Ron's eyes widened comically. Blimey. Do you really have the, you know? He pointed at Harry's forehead. Harry lifted his bangs to show the lightning scar. Yeah, but I don't remember it happening. Just a flash of green light. A partial truth, Sathka approved. Wise. Ron stared in fascination. Wicked. I heard you went to live with Muggles. What are they like? Harry considered how to answer. They're not big fans of magic, he said carefully. Or me, really. Their conversation flowed easily after that. Ron explained more about wizarding families and Hogwarts houses from a student's perspective, while Harry pretended to absorb this information for the first time. He found he genuinely liked Ron. The boy was straightforward and unguarded in a way Harry had rarely experienced. The trolley lady came and went, leaving them with a pile of magical sweets. Harry bought plenty to share, having never had someone to share treats with before. As they worked through chocolate frogs and Bertie Bott's beans, the compartment door opened again. A round-faced boy looked in tearfully. Sorry, but have you seen a toad? When they shook their heads, a bushy-haired girl appeared behind him. We're looking for Neville's toad, she announced in a bossy voice. Oh, are you doing magic? Let's see then. Ron attempted a spell on his pet rat that failed spectacularly, prompting an avalanche of facts from the girl, who introduced herself as Hermione Granger. Harry observed her carefully, clearly Muggle-born, trying to compensate with memorized knowledge. Knowledge without wisdom, Sathka commented. But potential there. Great potential. After Hermione departed, Harry turned back to Ron. What house do you think you'll be in? Gryffindor, probably, Ron sighed. My whole family's been there. Imagine if they put me in Slytherin, though, Dad would disown me. Harry frowned slightly. Why? What's wrong with Slytherin? You're joking, right? There wasn't a witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. Ignorance perpetuates prejudice, Sathka hissed softly. Yet another thing we must change. The compartment door slid open a third time. 3 boys entered, the pale-faced boy from Madame Malkin's, flanked by 2 larger boys with dull expressions. They're saying Harry Potter's in this compartment, the pale boy said. That's you, is it? Yes, Harry replied simply, studying the boy more carefully now. Platinum blonde hair, expensive robes, confident sneer, definitely a Malfoy. This is Crabbe and Goyle, the boy said carelessly. And I'm Malfoy. Draco Malfoy. Ron coughed, hiding a snigger. Malfoy shot him a contemptuous look. Think my name's funny, do you? No need to ask who you are. Red hair, hand-me-down robes. You must be a Weasley. He turned back to Harry. You'll soon find some wizarding families are better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there. He extended his hand. Harry looked at it, then back at Draco's face. This was the moment to establish his position in the complex social hierarchy of Hogwarts. Neither rejection nor acceptance, Sathka advised. Show independence. I appreciate the offer, Harry said carefully, not taking the hand. But I prefer to judge people for myself. Draco's pale cheeks flushed pink. I'd be careful if I were you, Potter. Unless you're politer, you'll go the same way as your parents. They didn't know what was good for them either. Harry stood slowly, holding Draco's gaze. Something of Sathka's power must have shone in his eyes because Malfoy suddenly took a small step back. I think you should leave now, Harry said quietly. Whether it was Harry's expression or some unconscious wandless magic, Draco seemed unable to maintain his bravado. He muttered something about meeting again and retreated, Crabbe and Goyle lumbering after him. Ron stared at Harry with newfound respect. That was brilliant. How'd you do that? He looked like he saw a ghost. Harry shrugged. Just stood my ground, I guess. More than that, Sathka sounded amused. Your magic responds to your emotions, even without a wand. The Malfoy boy sensed it. Interesting. As the first years crossed the lake in tiny boats, Hogwarts Castle came into view. While the other students gasped in wonder, Harry felt a strange sensation of homecoming. Somewhere deep below those stone foundations, Sathka waited. I feel you approaching, the Basilisk confirmed. After so many years, you are finally here. In the entrance hall, Professor McGonagall explained the sorting ceremony before leading them into the Great Hall. Harry scanned the head table, easily identifying Dumbledore from his silver beard and half-moon spectacles. A professor in a purple turban caught Harry's eye, and suddenly his scar burned fiercely. Danger, Sathka hissed. That one carries darkness. Strengthen your shields. Harry focused on his occlumency training, building mental walls while maintaining an outward appearance of calm curiosity. The pain subsided. The Sorting Hat sang its song, explaining the 4 houses. When McGonagall called, "Potter, Harry," whispers erupted throughout the hall. Harry walked forward, conscious of hundreds of eyes watching him. The hat dropped over his eyes. Said a small voice in his ear. Difficult. Very difficult. Plenty of courage, I see. Not a bad mind either. There's talent, oh my goodness, yes, and a thirst to prove yourself. But what's this? A connection, ancient, powerful. Harry tensed. Could the hat sense Sathka? Ah, the Chamber's guardian has chosen you. How extraordinary. Salazar would be fascinated. You could be great in Slytherin with such a mentor. Will you tell the headmaster? Harry thought anxiously. I am bound to keep student secrets, the hat assured him. But I must sort you where you belong. Slytherin would nurture those subtle talents. Harry considered. Part of him was drawn to Slytherin, but he remembered Sathka's advice about attracting too much attention. Perhaps Gryffindor would be safer, Harry thought. For now. Playing a long game, are we? The hat seemed amused. Very Slytherin of you. But yes, I see your reasoning. Better be Gryffindor. The last word rang through the hall. The Gryffindor table erupted in cheers, with the Weasley twins yelling, "We got Potter! We got Potter!" Harry joined his new house, catching Draco Malfoy's scowl from across the hall. At the feast, Harry chatted with his housemates while discreetly scanning the staff. The turbaned professor was talking to a hook-nosed man with greasy black hair. Who's that talking to Professor Quirrell? Harry asked Percy Weasley. That's Professor Snape, the potions master. He's head of Slytherin House and notorious for favoring his students. Harry nodded thoughtfully. Sathka had mentioned Snape, a complicated figure with connections to both Dumbledore and Voldemort's followers. As the feast ended and students began leaving, Harry felt Dumbledore's eyes on him. He strengthened his occlumency shields, presenting only the thoughts of an excited, overwhelmed first year. The headmaster's gaze lingered a moment too long before turning away. He suspects something, Sathka commented. Not our connection specifically, but something about you has caught his attention. I'll be careful, Harry promised silently. The first week of classes passed in a blur. Harry maintained a careful balance, demonstrating enough magical skill to avoid suspicion. An 11-year-old who couldn't perform basic spells would be as conspicuous as one performing advanced magic, while concealing his true abilities. In Transfiguration, he was the 3rd student to change his match into a needle, after Hermione and a Ravenclaw boy. In Charms, he mastered the levitation spell quickly but let several others succeed first. Only in Defense Against the Dark Arts did he deliberately underperform. Something about Professor Quirrell set off warning bells. Wise, Sathka approved. The Tainted One watches you most closely. Harry spent his evenings in the Gryffindor common room, building friendships with Ron and his dorm mates. Hermione Granger hovered on the periphery of their group, clearly intelligent but struggling to connect socially. Harry made small efforts to include her, recognizing potential value in her encyclopedic knowledge. On Friday evening, after most students had gone to bed, Harry slipped out of Gryffindor Tower under cover of darkness. He'd been waiting for this moment all week. "Lumos," he whispered, holding his wand low as he navigated the corridors. His destination, the second-floor girls' bathroom. "Careful," Safka cautioned. "Filch patrols the second floor around midnight. And his cat can sense magic." Harry nodded, extinguishing his light as he approached a corner. Sure enough, Mrs. Norris prowled the hallway ahead. Harry stepped back into an alcove and focused on the notice-me-not charm he practiced with Safka years ago. The cat passed by, her lamp-like eyes sweeping the corridor but sliding right over Harry's position. When the coast was clear, Harry continued to the abandoned bathroom. It looked exactly as Safka had described: old-fashioned fixtures, cracked mirrors, and a perpetual puddle on the floor. A ghostly sob echoed from one of the stalls. "Myrtle," Harry whispered to himself, recognizing the ghost from Safka's descriptions. He would need to befriend her eventually, but not tonight. Moving silently to avoid disturbing her, Harry approached the sink with a tiny serpent scratched on the copper tap. "Open," he hissed in Parseltongue. The sink began to move, revealing a large pipe wide enough for a man to slide into. Harry peered down into the darkness, heart racing with anticipation. After 6 years of mental connection, he was about to meet Safka in person. "Stairs," Harry commanded, remembering Safka's instructions. The pipe reconfigured itself into a spiral staircase. Harry descended carefully, closing the entrance behind him. The journey through the tunnels beneath the school felt both foreign and familiar. Harry had seen these passages through Safka's eyes during their mental connections, but experiencing them physically was different. The air grew colder and damper as he descended, and the walls transitioned from rough stone to ancient, ornate masonry. Finally, he reached a solid wall carved with 2 entwined serpents. "Open," Harry hissed again, and the serpents parted as the wall cracked open. The chamber of secrets stretched before him, vast and dimly lit with an eerie greenish glow. Towering stone pillars entwined with serpents supported a ceiling lost in darkness. At the far end stood the enormous statue of Salazar Slytherin, his monkey-like face staring down at the chamber floor. "Safka." Harry called softly, remembering to look down at the floor. "I'm here." A soft sliding sound echoed through the chamber. From the statue's mouth, an enormous serpent emerged, emerald scales gleaming in the dim light, body as thick as an oak trunk. Harry kept his gaze fixed on the basilisk's body, not risking eye contact. At last, "Little speaker," Safka's voice, so familiar in his mind, now came from the physical creature before him. "After all these years, you stand before me in flesh, not just spirit." Harry stepped forward, a smile breaking across his face. "I made it. Just like you said I would." "Look at me, Harry Potter," Safka said gently. "I have lowered my inner eyelids, my gaze will not harm you now. I believe our connection protects you regardless, but we shall not risk it fully until we are certain." Slowly, Harry raised his eyes to meet Safka's. The basilisk's eyes glowed amber behind translucent membranes, like sunlight through stained glass. No killing power emanated from them, only recognition and something like affection. "You're even more magnificent than I imagined," Harry said honestly. The basilisk was truly enormous, at least 60 feet long, with iridescent scales that caught the light in mesmerizing patterns. Safka lowered its massive head until it rested on the stone floor near Harry's feet. "Place your hand upon me, little speaker. Complete our bond." Harry reached out and placed his palm on Safka's snout. Instantly, a surge of magic flowed between them, not painful, but powerful, like closing an electrical circuit. The connection they'd shared mentally for years solidified into something tangible, something real. "Now we are truly bonded," Safka declared. "Not master and servant as Slytherin intended, but allies, equals in purpose if not in form. What I know is yours to learn. What I am is yours to call upon." And I'm yours, Harry promised. We'll protect each other, and Hogwarts too. They spent hours in the chamber that first night. Sathka showed Harry hidden rooms beyond the main chamber, Slytherin's private study with ancient texts, a small potions laboratory, and a meditation room with crystals that amplified magical energy. These will be your sanctuary, Sathka explained. Places to train beyond watchful eyes. The magic performed here cannot be detected by the castle's wards, Salazar made certain of that. Before returning to Gryffindor Tower, Harry practiced a disillusionment charm under Sathka's guidance, more effective than his Notice Me Not charm for avoiding detection. As dawn approached, he reluctantly bid the Basilisk goodbye and made his way back through the castle, avoiding early risers with his newfound invisibility. Over the following weeks, Harry established a routine. During the day, he attended classes, built friendships, and maintained his cover as a talented but not exceptional first year. Every few nights, he would slip away to the chamber, where Sathka taught him ancient magic beyond the Hogwarts curriculum. Harry's growing friendship with Ron provided insight into wizarding culture from a pureblood perspective, while his cautious alliance with Hermione gave him access to academic knowledge he might otherwise miss. The three weren't quite inseparable, but gravitating closer each day. On Halloween, everything changed. When Professor Quirrell burst into the Great Hall announcing a troll in the dungeons, Harry immediately remembered Hermione, who'd been crying in the bathroom after Ron insulted her. Hermione doesn't know about the troll, he told Ron urgently as Percy led the Gryffindors toward their tower. So? Ron looked uncomfortable. Look, I know I said some things. She could get killed, Harry interrupted. Come on. They slipped away from the group and headed toward the girls' bathroom. The smell hit them first, a foul stench of old socks and unwashed toilets, followed by the sound of grunting and enormous feet slapping against stone. The troll shuffled into view, 12 feet tall with granite-gray skin and a tiny bald head. It dragged a massive wooden club along the floor as it entered the very bathroom they were heading for. Hermione's scream cut through the air. Run for a teacher. Harry told Ron, then darted into the bathroom without waiting for a response. Inside, Hermione was shrinking against the wall, the troll advancing on her with its club raised. Harry assessed the situation instantly. Aim for the eyes or the back of the neck, Sathka advised in his mind. Troll hide repels most spells, but those are vulnerable points. Harry raised his wand, considering his options. A first-year spell wouldn't do much damage, but he couldn't reveal advanced magic without raising questions. Improvisation, then. Hey, ugly, he shouted, grabbing a broken pipe from the floor and hurling it at the troll's head. The distraction worked. The troll turned toward Harry, giving Hermione a chance to move. Ron appeared in the doorway, eyes widening at the scene. Confuse it. Harry called to Ron, circling to the opposite side of the bathroom. Ron grabbed a faucet and threw it against the wall with a clang. The troll paused, blinking stupidly between its two tormentors. It decided on Harry, raising its club. Harry met Ron's eyes and pointed at the club, then mimed levitation. Understanding dawned on Ron's face. Wingardium Leviosa. Ron shouted, executing the charm perfectly for the first time. The club floated out of the troll's hand, rising high into the air. As the troll looked up in confusion, Harry seized the moment. Flipendo! He yelled, aiming his knockback jinx at the troll's throat, one of the few areas not protected by its tough hide. The combined effect was devastating. The troll staggered backward from Harry's spell just as Ron's levitation charm failed, dropping the massive club directly onto its owner's head. With a thud that shook the bathroom, the troll collapsed unconscious. Professors McGonagall, Snape, and Quirrell burst into the bathroom moments later. McGonagall's lips formed a thin line as she surveyed the scene, demanding an explanation. To everyone's surprise, Hermione took responsibility, claiming she'd gone looking for the troll herself. I've read about them, she lied. I thought I could handle it. If Harry and Ron hadn't found me, I'd probably be dead. McGonagall deducted 5 points from Hermione and awarded 5 each to Harry and Ron for sheer dumb luck. As they left the bathroom, Harry noticed Snape's torn and bloodied pant leg before the potions master quickly covered it. He went to the 3rd floor while everyone was distracted, Sathka observed. Where the 3-headed dog guards the stone. The package from Gringotts, Harry realized, connecting the dots. That night, in the safety of the Gryffindor common room, something shifted between Harry, Ron, and Hermione. The troll incident had forged a bond between them, the kind that only comes from facing danger together and surviving. "Thanks for coming after me," Hermione said quietly as they sat by the fire. "That was really brave." Ron's ears turned pink. "Well, I was the reason you were there in the first place." "Sorry about that." Harry smiled, watching his 2 new friends awkwardly establish peace. Something told him this unlikely trio would be important in the challenges ahead. The following weeks brought new developments. Harry's first Quidditch match revealed another attempt on his life when someone, Quirrell, Harry suspected, though Ron and Hermione blamed Snape, jinxed his broom. Only Harry's natural flying talent saved him from a serious fall. Christmas holiday provided Harry with extended time in the chamber. While most students returned home, Harry stayed at Hogwarts, using the nearly empty castle as an opportunity to spend whole nights with Sathka, learning more complex magic. On Christmas morning, Harry received his father's invisibility cloak from an anonymous sender, though Sathka immediately identified Dumbledore's handwriting. "Another game piece moved on the board," the Basilisk commented. "He guides you toward something." That night, exploring under his new cloak, Harry discovered the Mirror of Erist. Unlike what Dumbledore might have expected, Harry saw not just his parents but Sathka coiled protectively around them all, and Harry himself standing tall, powerful, confident, and free from both Voldemort's shadow and Dumbledore's manipulation. When Dumbledore caught him the second night, explaining the mirror's purpose, Harry pretended suitable awe and gratitude for the headmaster's wisdom. "Half-truths and gentle manipulations," Sathka observed after Harry recounted the conversation. "He shapes you like a gardener trains a vine, not through force but through selective guidance." Harry nodded, sitting cross-legged on the chamber floor. "Why not just tell me what he wants from me?" "Because your willing participation is more valuable than your obedience. He needs you to make choices that appear to be your own, following a path he has designed." "Well, 2 can play that game," Harry said firmly. "I'll follow his breadcrumbs, but I'll decide for myself what to do with what I find." As winter melted into spring, Harry balanced his triple life, Gryffindor student by day, friend to Ron and Hermione in the evenings, and Sathka's apprentice by night. The strain showed occasionally in dark circles under his eyes, but his magical reserves grew stronger with Sathka's training, compensating for the lack of sleep. Harry, Ron, and Hermione pieced together the mystery of the Philosopher's Stone after Hagrid inadvertently revealed information about Nicholas Flamel. They discovered the stone's immortality-granting properties and realized why someone, whether Snape or Quirrell, would want to steal it. "Voldemort," Harry told Sathka during one of their sessions. "It has to be for him. A way to restore his body." "Yes," Sathka agreed. "The servant seeks to resurrect his master." But which servant? Harry wondered. Snape or Quirrell? "Your scar burns near Quirrell, not Snape," Sathka reminded him. "Trust your instincts, little speaker." When Harry, Ron, and Hermione discovered Hagrid had acquired a dragon egg, Harry saw an opportunity to test his theory. He arranged to be near Quirrell during their nighttime mission to send Norbert to Charlie Weasley. Sure enough, his scar pulsed painfully whenever the defense professor was nearby. Unfortunately, they were caught by McGonagall after successfully delivering the dragon, resulting in detention in the Forbidden Forest. There, while searching for an injured unicorn with Hagrid, Harry encountered a cloaked figure drinking unicorn blood. His scar exploded with pain, and he knew without doubt he was facing some version of Voldemort himself. The centaur Firenze saved him, confirming Harry's suspicions about the Philosopher's Stone and its connection to Voldemort's potential return. In late spring, Hagrid revealed he'd told a stranger how to get past Fluffy, the three-headed dog guarding the stone. Realizing the theft was imminent, Harry, Ron, and Hermione decided to go after the stone themselves when they discovered Dumbledore had conveniently left the school. That evening, before meeting his friends, Harry made a quick visit to the chamber. "You enter a trap," Sathka warned. "Whether set by the thief or by Dumbledore himself, I cannot say." "I know," Harry acknowledged. "But I have to go. If Voldemort gets the stone, then go prepared." Sathka lowered his massive head, touching his snout to Harry's forehead. "I give you a gift for this confrontation." A pulse of ancient magic flowed between them. Harry gasped as knowledge unfurled in his mind, a spell older than Hogwarts itself, designed to temporarily bind parasitic spirits. It will not destroy him, but it may separate host from parasite long enough for you to escape. Use it only if all else fails. It requires great power and will reveal your true abilities. Harry nodded gratefully. "Thank you, my friend." "Return to me, little speaker," Sathka said solemnly. "Whatever happens tonight, find your way back to me." The obstacles guarding the Philosopher's Stone proved challenging but not insurmountable. Fluffy fell asleep to Hagrid's flute music, Devil's snare parted for Hermione's flames, and Harry caught the flying key with his seeker skills. Ron sacrificed himself in McGonagall's giant chess game, and Hermione solved Snape's logic puzzle, allowing Harry to proceed alone to the final chamber. There, as Harry had suspected, stood Professor Quirrell, not Snape, examining the mirror of Eriste. "You?" Harry said, feigning surprise. Quirrell smiled without his usual stutter. "Yes, me. I wondered if I'd be meeting you here, Potter. But Snape, yes, Severus does seem the type, doesn't he? So useful to have him swooping around like an overgrown bat. Next to him, who would suspect P.P. Poor St. stuttering P. Professor Quirrell?" As Quirrell explained his failed attempts to kill Harry, from jinxing his broom to loosing the troll at Halloween, Harry assessed the situation. He needed to appear frightened and confused while seeking an opportunity to either escape with the stone or use Sathka's binding spell if necessary. "I see the stone. I'm presenting it to my master, but where is it?" Quirrell muttered, staring into the mirror. "Use the boy," rasped a voice from seemingly nowhere. Quirrell beckoned Harry forward. "Look in the mirror and tell me what you see." Harry stepped before the mirror of Eriste, strengthening his occlumency shields. He saw his reflection wink and place something in his pocket, the stone. Immediately, Harry felt the real stone drop into his actual pocket. "Well? What do you see?" Quirrell demanded. "I see myself shaking hands with Dumbledore," Harry lied. "I've won the House Cup." "He lies," shrieked the disembodied voice. "Let me speak to him, face to face." "Master, you are not strong enough. I have strength enough for this." Harry watched in horror as Quirrell unwrapped his turban, revealing a terrifying face protruding from the back of his head, chalk-white with glaring red eyes and slits for nostrils. "Harry Potter," the face whispered. "See what I have become. Mere shadow and vapor, forced to share another's body. Unicorn blood has strengthened me, but the elixir of life will create a new body for me. Give me the stone in your pocket." Harry stepped backward. "Never. Don't be a fool," Voldemort hissed. "Better to save your own life and join me, or meet the same end as your parents. They died begging for mercy." "Liar!" Harry shouted. Quirrell lunged forward on Voldemort's command. His hands closed around Harry's neck, but immediately began to blister and burn. Quirrell recoiled in agony, staring at his smoking, raw hands. "What is this magic?" he shrieked. "Fool! Get the stone!" Voldemort commanded. Harry made a split-second decision. The protection from his mother was working, but it might not last. He needed to separate Quirrell from Voldemort before the parasite abandoned his dying host and potentially possessed Harry himself. Drawing on his years of training with Sathka, Harry reached for the ancient magic the basilisk had shared. He slammed his palms against Quirrell's chest and spoke words in Parseltongue that no first-year should know, Serpensortia excorium spiritus. Golden light erupted where Harry's hands touched Quirrell. The professor's body arched backward as a spectral serpent of light coiled around him, squeezing tighter and tighter. Voldemort's face contorted in fury and pain as the binding spell began to forcibly separate the two entities. "What are you?" Voldemort shrieked. "How do you know this magic?" Harry didn't answer, pouring every ounce of power into maintaining the spell. Quirrell's skin cracked like pottery, golden light spilling from the fissures. With a final horrible scream, the connection broke. Voldemort's spirit tore free, abandoning Quirrell's body as it crumbled to ash. The wraith hovered for a moment, its red eyes fixed on Harry with hatred and, for the first time, fear. Then it lunged, passing through Harry's body like ice water. Harry screamed as his scar split open, blood streaming down his face. "This isn't over, Potter," Voldemort's voice echoed as the spirit fled. "I recognize the serpent's touch upon you now. Old alliances reforged, how interesting. We shall meet again." Harry collapsed beside the mirror of Eriste, the philosopher's stone still clutched in his hand as darkness claimed him. Consciousness returned slowly. Harry blinked against harsh white light, gradually recognizing the hospital wing's ceiling. Dumbledore sat beside his bed, blue eyes twinkling behind half-moon spectacles. "Good afternoon, Harry," the headmaster said softly. Harry assessed his situation quickly. How much had Dumbledore seen? Did he know about the Parseltongue spell? About Sathka? "Sir. The stone, calm yourself, dear boy. Professor Quirrell did not manage to take it from you. I arrived in time to prevent that, although you were doing very well on your own, I must say." Harry relaxed slightly. Dumbledore hadn't arrived until after the confrontation, then. He noticed the headmaster watching him closely, as if trying to solve a puzzle. "How long have I been here?" 3 days. "Mr. Ronald Weasley and Miss Granger will be most relieved you have come round. They have been extremely worried." Dumbledore explained how he'd realized he needed to return to Hogwarts, how Ron and Hermione had been rescued from the obstacles, and assured Harry that the stone had been destroyed with Nicholas Flamel's blessing. "Now, perhaps you can satisfy an old man's curiosity," Dumbledore said carefully. "How did you manage to drive Voldemort from Professor Quirrell?" Professor McGonagall described finding Quirrell's robes and ashes, but no body. Harry hesitated, then decided on a partial truth. "My mother's protection, sir. When he touched me, it burned him. I just kept holding on until he couldn't stand it anymore." Dumbledore nodded, apparently satisfied. "Yes, your mother's sacrifice left a mark on you. Not a scar, but a protection in your very skin. Voldemort, who traffics in hatred and cruelty, could not touch someone marked by something so pure as love." Harry nodded, relieved the headmaster accepted this explanation. "There is something else puzzling me, Harry," Dumbledore continued. "How did the Mirror of Eriste work for you? How did you get the stone? This was safer territory. I wanted to find it, but not use it. Just keep it from Voldemort." "Precisely. A brilliant enchantment, if I do say so myself. Only one who sought to find the stone, not use it, could get it." Their conversation continued, with Dumbledore answering some of Harry's questions about why Voldemort had targeted him as a baby, vaguely, and why Snape seemed to hate him, more directly. Throughout, Harry maintained his occlumency shields, projecting only what he wanted the headmaster to see, a brave but confused boy, lucky to have survived his encounter. After Dumbledore left, Harry reached out through his mental connection. "Sathka. I am here, little speaker," the basilisk responded immediately, relief evident. "I felt your pain but could not reach you in the hospital wing. What happened?" Harry recounted the confrontation in detail, describing how the binding spell had worked but left him vulnerable to Voldemort's spirit passing through him. "You did well," Sathka assured him. The spell was not meant to destroy, only to separate. That Voldemort recognized my magic, troubling, but perhaps inevitable. He'll be back, Harry said grimly. And next time, he'll know I'm connected to you somehow. Then we must prepare more thoroughly. When you return next term, your training intensifies. The end-of-year feast brought a final surprise. Slytherin had been leading the House Cup race, but Dumbledore awarded last-minute points to Gryffindor for the trio's stone adventure, tipping the balance in their favor. As Gryffindor celebrated and Slytherin seethes, Harry caught Draco Malfoy's eye across the hall. The blonde boy's expression was a mix of resentment and curiosity. Throughout the year, Harry had noticed Malfoy watching him with increasing interest, particularly after displays of unusual magical skill. He senses something different about you, Safka commented. The Malfoy heir is more perceptive than his father. Harry nodded imperceptibly. That was something to consider for next year. Allies in Slytherin might prove valuable, especially if Voldemort was regaining strength. On the train ride home, Ron invited Harry to visit the Burrow over summer, and Hermione extracted promises of regular letters from both boys. Harry smiled, genuinely happy despite the challenges ahead. In less than a year, he'd gained friends, confirmed his magical abilities, faced Voldemort and survived, and most importantly, finally met Safka in person. The summer at Privet Drive would be difficult, but knowing what awaited his return to Hogwarts made it bearable. The Chamber of Secrets would be there, his sanctuary, his training ground, and home to his oldest friend and most powerful ally. As the Hogwarts Express pulled into King's Cross, Harry touched his scar thoughtfully. Voldemort had called it the Serpent's Touch, recognizing Safka's influence. The Dark Wizard now knew Harry wasn't just the boy who lived but something more complex. The heir to two houses indeed, Gryffindor by choice and circumstance, but Slytherin by unexpected connection. The game had changed, but Harry had advantages no one could anticipate. With Safka's ancient knowledge, his growing circle of friends, and his own developing powers, Harry Potter was no longer just a pawn on Dumbledore's chessboard. He was becoming a player in his own right. Chapter 3, The Chamber's Secret Summer at Privet Drive felt like stepping back in time. Harry's room might have been upgraded from cupboard to bedroom, but the Dursleys' attitudes remained frozen in their usual combination of fear and resentment. They'd locked away his trunk, confiscated his wand, and barred his window after the first week, terrified he might use magic against them. What they didn't know was how little that mattered now. Harry sat cross-legged on his bed, palm outstretched, a small blue flame dancing above his fingers. His wandless magic had grown considerably stronger under Safka's tutelage. The distance from Hogwarts weakened their mental connection, but they still managed brief communications most nights. 3 more weeks, little speaker, Safka's voice whispered in his mind, faint but clear. Then you return. Not soon enough, Harry murmured, extinguishing the flame as heavy footsteps approached his door. The locks rattled, and Uncle Vernon's purple face appeared. Still in here, are you? He glared suspiciously, as though Harry might have somehow vanished. We're going out. Important dinner with the Masons. You'll stay in your room, make no noise, and pretend you don't exist. Fine, Harry shrugged, struggling to keep the smirk off his face. Vernon's important business dinner meant hours of freedom. The moment the Dursleys' car pulled away, Harry went to work. A simple wandless unlocking charm on his door, then retrieving his hidden lockpicks from beneath a loose floorboard. The Dursleys had locked his magical supplies in the cupboard, but they'd forgotten Harry had spent 10 years mastering that particular space. 20 minutes later, he had his schoolbook spread across his bed, working on summer essays. The sudden crack of apparition made him jump. A house elf stood in the middle of his bedroom, bat-like ears, bulging green eyes, and a body draped in what looked like a dirty pillowcase. Harry Potter, the creature squeaked. So long has Dobby wanted to meet you, sir. Such an honor. Harry stared, mind racing. Safka had mentioned house elves, but seeing one was another matter entirely. Who sent you? He asked directly, closing his potions text. The elf's ears drooped. Nobody sent Dobby, sir. Dobby came on his own. Dobby has come to warn Harry Potter. Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this year. Not go back. Harry's eyes narrowed. Why? There is a plot, Harry Potter. A plot to make most terrible things happen at Hogwarts this year. Dobby trembled, tugging his ears anxiously. Harry leaned forward. What plot? Who's planning it? Dobby made a strange choking sound and began banging his head against the wall. Bad Dobby. Bad Dobby. Harry caught him mid-bang. Stop. You'll alert the neighbors. He guided the elf to sit on the bed. You can't tell me who's behind it, I understand. But can you tell me what's going to happen? Dark deeds, sir. History to repeat. A chill ran down Harry's spine. History to repeat. The Chamber of Secrets had been opened 50 years ago by Tom Riddle. If it was happening again. It involves the Chamber of Secrets, doesn't it? Harry whispered. Dobby's eyes widened to the size of dinner plates. Harry Potter knows. But how? The elf clasped his hands over his mouth, shaking violently. Listen to me, Dobby, Harry said firmly. I appreciate your warning, but I'm going back to Hogwarts. It's my home. And whatever this plot is, I'm probably in the best position to stop it. No. Dobby wailed. Harry Potter is too precious, too good. He defeated the Dark Lord, freed so many. If I don't go back, who will protect the other students? Harry asked quietly. Please, just tell me, will Lucius Malfoy be coming to Hogwarts anytime soon? Perhaps to donate something? Dobby froze, his entire body going rigid. That was confirmation enough. Thank you, Dobby. That's all I needed to know. Harry smiled reassuringly. I'll be careful, I promise. The elf looked conflicted, ears flapping in distress. Harry Potter is brave and noble, but Dobby cannot let. A car door slammed outside. They're back. Harry hissed. You need to go. Dobby snapped his fingers and vanished with another loud crack, just as Uncle Vernon's key turned in the front door. Harry quickly gathered his schoolbooks, shoving them under the loose floorboard. His mind raced with implications. Lucius Malfoy was planning something involving the chamber. But that should be impossible unless... The diary, Harry whispered, remembering Sathka's warning about Riddle's Horcrux. Malfoy has the diary. That night, when the Dursleys were asleep, Harry focused all his energy on contacting Sathka. Can you hear me? The response came faintly, like a radio signal through static. Speaker, what troubles you? Lucius Malfoy has Riddle's diary. He's planning to bring it to Hogwarts. A long pause, then, this complicates matters. The diary contains more than memory, it holds part of Voldemort's soul, like the fragment in your scar. But unlike your connection to me, the diary seeks domination. Will it try to control you? Harry asked anxiously. It will try. But our bond protects me from its commands. The greater danger is to whoever possesses the diary. They will become its vessel. Harry frowned into the darkness. We need a plan. I've been thinking about Ron's sister starting Hogwarts this year. She'd be a perfect target if Malfoy wants to plant the diary on someone. Wise observation. The young and vulnerable make ideal vessels. Watch the Weasley girl, but do not reveal your knowledge. We must let events unfold enough to expose Malfoy's hand. Harry nodded, though Sathka couldn't see him. I'll be careful. But I won't let anyone get hurt. Your compassion is admirable, little speaker. It's why I chose you. Ron's rescue via flying car was so spectacularly unexpected that Harry almost forgot about diary plots and chamber conspiracies for a few glorious hours. The burrow, with its magical chaos and warmth, felt more like a home than anywhere he'd ever stayed. Mrs. Weasley fussed over his skinny frame. Mr. Weasley bombarded him with questions about plugs and batteries, the twins plotted mischief in corners, and Percy pompously reminded everyone of his prefect status every 5 minutes. Ginny, Ron's little sister, turned scarlet and speechless whenever Harry entered a room. "She's been talking about you all summer," Ron explained with an eye roll as they degnomed the garden. "It's bloody annoying. Harry Potter this, Harry Potter that. Has a serious hero worship thing going." Harry frowned thoughtfully, watching the small red-headed girl watching them from a window. "That could be dangerous." "What, Ginny's crush?" "Nah, she'll get over it once she realizes you're just a regular bloke who happens to be terrible at wizard chess." "Sure," Harry said absently, making a mental note to keep an eye on Ginny when they reached Hogwarts. Someone that fixated on him would make a perfect target for Malfoy's plot. Their trip to Diagon Alley reinforced his suspicions. At Flourish and Blots, Lucius Malfoy engineered a confrontation with Arthur Weasley that ended in a fistfight. During the chaos, Harry noticed Malfoy slip something into Ginny's second-hand cauldron, something small and black. The diary had found its target. Harry considered stealing it immediately, but Safka had cautioned patience. "We need proof of Malfoy's involvement," the Basilisk had advised during their most recent connection. "And we must understand how the diary works before confronting it. Let it reveal itself." So Harry watched and waited, saying nothing as they finished their shopping and returned to the burrow. He couldn't risk trying to explain his suspicions to Ron or Hermione yet, not without revealing his connection to Safka. The journey to platform 9 3/4 went predictably wrong when Harry and Ron found themselves unable to pass through the barrier. Ron's brilliant solution, stealing the flying car, seemed reasonable at the time but considerably less so when they crashed into the Whomping Willow and nearly got expelled their first day back. Snape's fury had been terrifying, McGonagall's disappointment worse, but Dumbledore's calculating gaze had been the most unsettling of all. The headmaster's blue eyes had studied Harry with renewed interest, as if the flying car incident had confirmed some private theory. "He suspects something," Harry told Safka that night, having slipped away to the chamber after his dorm mates fell asleep. "Not about you specifically, but he knows I'm not what I seem." The enormous basilisk coiled comfortably on the chamber floor, head resting near Harry's feet. "Dumbledore has always been perceptive. Your performance last year with the stone raised questions. He may believe you have untapped power from your encounter with Voldemort as an infant." "That's not entirely wrong," Harry pointed out, reaching to stroke the smooth scales on Safka's snout. The basilisk made a pleased sound, like a giant cat purring. "Indeed. Let him believe that explanation for now. It serves our purposes." Safka raised his head slightly. "Now, tell me of the diary. Has the Weasley girl begun writing in it?" "I think so. She carries it everywhere, and she looks tired already, like she's not sleeping well." Harry paced the chamber's stone floor. "She barely talks to anyone, even her brothers. Classic signs of possession beginning. The diary will feed on her emotions, her insecurities. It will offer understanding, then demand compliance in return." Harry kicked at a small stone, sending it skittering across the floor. "So what do we do? I can't just let it happen." "Patience, little speaker. The diary must reveal its plan before we can counter it effectively. If it believes it controls the chamber, it will eventually try to access it. Using Ginny, Harry realized. It'll make her try to open the entrance. Yes. And when that happens, we will be waiting." Classes resumed with the usual mixture of fascinating and tedious. Harry maintained his careful academic balance, demonstrating enough skill to satisfy professors without drawing undue attention. Only in defense against the dark arts did he struggle to hold back, as their new professor was a complete fraud. Gilderoy Lockhart, with his gleaming teeth and ridiculous peacock robes, clearly knew nothing about actual defense. His first lesson, releasing Cornish pixies into the classroom before fleeing, confirmed Harry's assessment. He's worse than useless, Harry complained to Hermione as they headed to herbology. Everything in his books is either stolen from other wizards or completely made up. Hermione flushed. His methodology might be unconventional, but surely the headmaster wouldn't have hired him if what? If he wasn't the only applicant? Harry countered. The job's supposedly cursed. No one lasts more than a year. Ron nodded vigorously. Dad says Dumbledore's scraping the bottom of the barrel now. Guess even the barrel has a false bottom called Lockhart. Harry laughed, but his amusement faded as he spotted Ginny crossing the courtyard. She looked paler than usual, dark circles under her eyes, clutching a small black book to her chest. The diary was working quickly. That evening, Harry followed Ginny discreetly, maintaining a careful distance. She wandered the corridors aimlessly, occasionally stopping to write in the diary. Twice, she approached the second floor but turned away at the last moment, as if fighting some internal command. Not ready yet, Harry murmured to himself. The possession isn't complete. He continued monitoring her over the following weeks, balancing his surveillance with classes, Quidditch practice, and nightly sessions with Safka. The Basilisk taught him more advanced protection spells, focusing on countering possession and dark artifacts. The diary is a Horcrux, Safka explained. A container for a soul fragment. It cannot be reasoned with or redeemed, only destroyed. How do you destroy a Horcrux? Harry asked, practicing a complex wand movement Safka had demonstrated. Few methods work. Basilisk venom is one. The sword of Gryffindor might suffice if it absorbs my venom. Fiend fire, cursed flame, but that's too dangerous for you to attempt. Harry nodded thoughtfully. So I need to get the diary and bring it to you. Yes, but timing is critical. Too soon, and Malfoy's involvement remains hidden. Too late, and the Weasley girl may be beyond saving. Halloween arrived with Hogwarts' usual spectacular feast. Harry noticed Ginny barely ate, her hands trembling slightly as she pushed food around her plate. Halfway through the meal, she slipped away unnoticed by her brothers. Harry caught Hermione's eye. I need to check something. Cover for me. She frowned. Harry, what are you, please, Hermione? It's important. She sighed but nodded. Don't do anything reckless. Harry followed Ginny at a distance, watching as she moved mechanically toward the second floor, her eyes glazed and unfocused. This wasn't the almost possession he'd seen before, the diary had taken full control. She entered Moaning Myrtle's bathroom and approached the sink with the serpent engraving. Harry waited outside, listening intently. After several minutes of silence, he heard it, a halting, unnatural attempt at Parseltongue. Open, Ginny's voice hissed, but the pronunciation was wrong, forced. Harry tensed. The diary riddle was trying to command the chamber to open, using Ginny as its mouthpiece. But her Parseltongue wasn't fluent enough, and without the chamber's true heir, either Riddle himself or Harry, the entrance wouldn't respond. After several failed attempts, Ginny emerged from the bathroom. Harry quickly ducked behind a statue, watching as she walked to the wall opposite and removed a small canister from her robes. With jerky movements, she wrote on the wall in what appeared to be red paint, "The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the heir beware." Harry's blood ran cold. The diary was announcing its presence, challenging the school, challenging him. As Ginny finished writing, a sound from the other end of the corridor sent her scurrying away. Harry remained hidden as the Halloween feast ended and students began returning to their dormitories. The first screams came moments later when people discovered the message, and Mrs. Norris hanging stiffly from a torch bracket, apparently dead. Chaos erupted. Teachers arrived, students crowded the corridor, and Filch began wailing accusations. Harry slipped into the crowd, pretending to have just arrived with everyone else. Dumbledore examined Mrs. Norris carefully before announcing she was petrified, not dead, and could eventually be restored. "I bet it was Potter," Draco Malfoy shouted from the crowd. "Always sneaking around." That's enough, Mr. Malfoy, McGonagall snapped. Everyone, return to your dormitories immediately. As the crowd dispersed, Harry caught Draco watching him with an odd expression, not quite accusatory, more curious. Did the Malfoy heir know about his father's plan? Was he waiting to see how Harry would respond? Back in Gryffindor Tower, rumors flew. Hermione immediately buried herself in Hogwarts, a history, while Ron speculated wildly about the identity of the heir of Slytherin. It's obvious, isn't it? Seamus Finnegan declared. It's Malfoy. His whole family's been in Slytherin for generations. Harry said nothing, watching Ginny huddle in a corner, white-faced and shaking. The diary wasn't with her, she must have hidden it after writing the message. The possession had temporarily released her, but it would return stronger. That night, Harry slipped away to the chamber, relaying everything to Sathka. So it begins, the Basilisk hissed thoughtfully. The diary makes its first move, but it's weak. Petrification rather than killing indicates the Weasley girl fought its full control. Mrs. Norris was petrified by looking at you? Harry asked, confused. No, little speaker. I have not left this chamber. The diary is using some other method, perhaps a reflection of my gaze, or a different magic entirely to simulate my powers. It seeks to recreate Tom Riddle's original plan from 50 years ago. Harry paced anxiously. We need to stop it before someone gets seriously hurt. Maybe I should just take the diary from Ginny now. Not yet. The diary would only find another host, perhaps one less capable of resistance. We must catch it in the act, expose its nature, and destroy it permanently. Sathka's massive head swayed thoughtfully. But we can protect potential victims. Conjured mirrors at corridor junctions would ensure that anyone encountering my gaze, or its simulation, would see only a reflection. Brilliant! Harry exclaimed. I'll start placing them tomorrow. And I'll keep watching Ginny. The following weeks brought a frenzy of research and speculation throughout the school. Hermione discovered the basic legend of the chamber, sharing it with Harry and Ron as if it were new information. Harry feigned appropriate surprise and concern, encouraging her research while secretly placing small conjured mirrors at strategic locations around the school. Ginny's condition deteriorated. She became even paler, jumped at small noises, and often stared into space mid-conversation. The diary appeared and disappeared from her possession, sometimes clutched protectively, other times nowhere to be seen for days. In mid-November, another attack occurred. Colin Creevey, a first-year Gryffindor who had been annoying Harry with his constant photography, was found petrified outside the hospital wing, his camera melted internally. He must have seen the monster through his camera lens, Dumbledore theorized when examining the body. A lucky escape from death. Harry knew differently. His strategically placed mirror had saved Colin from the full effect of whatever was attacking students. But this raised troubling questions. If Sathka remained in the chamber, what exactly was the diary using to petrify people? After the Creevey attack, Lockhart proposed a dueling club, apparently thinking he could single-handedly protect the school. The first meeting became disastrous when Snape volunteered to be his assistant and promptly humiliated him. Worse, during a demonstration duel between Harry and Draco, Malfoy conjured a snake that slithered menacingly toward Justin Finch-Fletchley. Harry acted instinctively. Stop, he commanded in Parseltongue. Don't attack. The snake froze, then coiled docilely on the floor. Too late, Harry realized his mistake. The entire hall had gone silent, staring at him in horror. He had just revealed his Parseltongue ability, the hallmark of Slytherin's heir, in front of the entire school. Ron dragged him out quickly, with Hermione following. You're a Parselmouth. Ron whispered frantically once they reached an empty classroom. Why didn't you tell us? I didn't think it was important, Harry lied, mind racing for a plausible explanation. Hermione looked thoughtful. This changes everything. The whole school will think you're the heir of Slytherin now. She was right. By the next morning, students were giving Harry a wide berth in corridors, whispering behind hands as he passed. Justin Finch Fletchley, who'd been at the dueling club, pointedly avoided him in herbology. 2 days later, Justin himself was found petrified, along with nearly headless Nick, the latter an unsettling development, as ghosts shouldn't be affected by normal magic. Harry was summoned to Dumbledore's office for the first time. The circular room filled with silver instruments and portraits of former headmasters might have been fascinating under different circumstances, but Harry was too anxious about the coming interrogation. "Ah, Harry," Dumbledore said genially, blue eyes twinkling as Harry entered. "Please, sit down." "Lemon drop?" Harry declined politely, strengthening his occlumency shields. Dumbledore studied him for a long moment before speaking again. "You seem troubled, Harry. Perhaps there's something you wish to tell me? About the recent attacks, perhaps?" Harry met his gaze steadily. "I'm not attacking anyone, Professor. I know people think I'm the heir because I can speak Parseltongue, but I'm not." "And how long have you known about this particular talent?" Dumbledore asked mildly. Harry had prepared for this question. "Since the zoo last year, before Hogwarts. I set a boa constrictor free accidentally. I didn't know it was unusual until the dueling club." "I see." Dumbledore steepled his fingers. "And you have no idea why you might possess this rare ability?" "Hermione thinks it might have transferred when Voldemort tried to kill me," Harry offered. "Is that possible, sir?" A flash of something, surprise. Confirmation, crossed Dumbledore's face. "A most insightful theory. Miss Granger continues to impress." He leaned forward slightly. "Harry, I do not believe you are attacking students. But I wonder if you might have noticed anything unusual. Any strange behavior among your classmates?" Harry hesitated, tempted to mention Ginny and the diary. But revealing that knowledge would expose his own surveillance and raise too many questions. "Nothing specific, sir. Everyone's just scared." Dumbledore nodded slowly. "Very well. Should you notice anything, my door is always open to you, Harry." As Harry turned to leave, Fawkes, Dumbledore's phoenix, trilled softly from his perch. The sound sent a strange tingle through Harry's scar, not painful but resonant, like crystal vibrating at a specific frequency. Harry froze momentarily, then quickly continued out the door, feeling Dumbledore's eyes boring into his back. As Christmas approached, the attack ceased temporarily. Harry used the break to intensify his own investigation, spending hours in the chamber with Sathka, developing theories about the diary's capabilities. "It must be using something else to petrify people," Harry insisted. "Something that mimics your abilities." "A reflection, perhaps," Sathka suggested. "Or a projection. The chamber contains many secrets even I do not fully understand. There are passages too small for me to explore, mechanisms built into the very stones." Harry wandered the main chamber, examining the serpent carvings along the pillars. Could it be using the plumbing somehow? Mrs. Norris was found near a puddle of water. Possible. The pipes connect throughout the castle. A smaller serpent could navigate them. Harry stopped suddenly, a thought striking him. What if it's not using a real serpent at all? What if it's... He broke off, staring at his own reflection in a puddle on the chamber floor. Reflections. Sathka, what if it's projecting your gaze through water or mirrors? That would explain why the victims are petrified instead of killed, they're seeing a diluted version of your power. The basilisk's enormous head tilted thoughtfully. Ingenious. The diary contains knowledge of my abilities. It may have found a way to project a simulation of my gaze without actually controlling me. So we need to deal with water sources, Harry concluded. The mirrors I placed help, but puddles, windows, anything reflective could become dangerous. This new theory gave Harry purpose. He began tracking water sources throughout the castle, noting maintenance issues, leaky bathrooms, and condensation-prone windows. The pattern confirmed his suspicion. Each attack location had some form of water or reflective surface nearby. With most students gone for Christmas, Harry could move more freely. He created a detailed map of the castle's plumbing system based on Safka's knowledge, identifying likely pathways for whatever the diary was using. Ron and Hermione remained at Hogwarts too, though for different reasons. Hermione was brewing Polyjuice Potion in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, convinced that Draco Malfoy was the heir of Slytherin. Harry hadn't discouraged this investigation, it kept him occupied and away from his own activities. On Christmas night, they executed their Polyjuice plan, transforming into Crabbe and Goyle to interrogate Draco. Harry participated reluctantly, knowing it would yield nothing useful but unable to explain why without revealing his own knowledge. As expected, Draco confirmed he wasn't the heir, though he expressed enthusiastic approval of the attacks and hoped that Granger would be next. What Harry hadn't anticipated was Draco's next comment. Father says the chamber was opened 50 years ago too. Last time, a mudblood died. It's only a matter of time before one dies this time. I wish I knew who it was. I could help them. Harry filed this information away carefully. So Lucius had told Draco about the chamber's history but not about the diary. Interesting division of knowledge, enough to make Draco curious but not complicit. The Polyjuice adventure ended in partial disaster when Hermione accidentally used cat hair instead of human hair, leaving her stuck in the hospital wing for weeks with a furry face and tail. This gave Harry more freedom to continue his investigations without her penetrating questions. January brought renewed fear as another attack struck, this time a double petrification of Penelope Clearwater and Hermione herself, found near the library with a small mirror in Hermione's hand. Apparently, she had figured out the reflection theory independently and was using the mirror to check around corners. Harry was devastated. Seeing Hermione's petrified form in the hospital wing galvanized him into action. That night, he confronted Ginny directly, cornering her in an empty classroom after dinner. I know about the diary, Ginny, he said without preamble. I know what it's doing to you. She went deathly pale, backing against the wall. I don't know what you're talking about. Tom Riddle's diary. The black book you've been writing in. It's possessing you, using you to open the Chamber of Secrets. Tears welled in her eyes. How do you? No one was supposed to. I tried to get rid of it. I threw it away in Myrtle's bathroom, but it came back. It always comes back. Harry stepped closer, keeping his voice gentle. It's not your fault. The diary contains very dark magic. I can help you, but you need to tell me where it is right now. Something shifted in Ginny's expression, the tears vanished, replaced by a cold calculation that looked wrong on her young face. When she spoke again, her voice had changed subtly, gained a different cadence. How fascinating, not quite, Ginny said. Harry Potter, the boy who lived, knows about my diary. How is that possible, I wonder? Harry's hand moved to his wand. You're not Ginny anymore, are you? You're Tom Riddle. A smile spread across Ginny's face that never belonged there, sharp, calculating, cruel. Not fully, not yet. But soon. She, or rather, he, tilted her head. You're much more interesting than I expected, Potter. Such fascinating secrets behind those eyes. Perhaps we should have a proper chat, just the two of us. Before Harry could react, Ginny's hand plunged into her robes, withdrawing the black diary. She pressed it against her chest and whispered something. A pulse of dark magic knocked Harry backward, and by the time he regained his feet, Ginny was gone, the classroom door swinging open to an empty corridor. Damn it! Harry hissed, racing after her. But the hallways were deserted. Riddle had made Ginny disappear with unnatural speed. Harry sprinted to the second-floor bathroom, suspecting Riddle would take Ginny directly to the chamber entrance. He arrived just in time to see the sinks closing, sealing the passage. Open! He commanded in Parseltongue, and the entrance reappeared. Harry plunged down the tunnel without hesitation, wandlessly casting cushioning charms as he slid through pipes and darkness. He landed in the bone-strewn antechamber and raced toward the inner door, again using Parseltongue to open it. The main chamber stretched before him, dimly lit by ethereal green light. At the far end, near Slytherin's statue, Ginny lay motionless on the stone floor, the diary clutched in her limp hands. Beside her stood a tall, handsome boy of about 16, dressed in old-fashioned Hogwarts robes with a Slytherin prefect badge. He was oddly transparent, like a very dense ghost. "Tom Riddle," Harry said, approaching cautiously, wand raised. The spectral teenager smiled coldly. "Harry Potter. I've been wanting to meet you for some time." "Let Ginny go," Harry demanded. "Your quarrel's with me, not her." "I'm afraid I can't do that," Riddle replied smoothly. "You see, little Ginny has been pouring her soul into my diary for months now, telling me her secrets, her fears, her childish dreams. As she grew weaker, I grew stronger. Strong enough now to pour some of my soul back into her." Harry's gaze flicked to Ginny's pale face. She was still breathing, but barely. "What do you want from me?" "Answers." Riddle circled Harry slowly, studying him. "How did a baby with no extraordinary magical talent defeat the greatest wizard of all time? How did you escape with nothing but a scar, while Lord Voldemort's powers were destroyed? Why do you care?" Harry asked, though he knew the answer. "Voldemort was after your time." Riddle smiled thinly and traced his wand in the air, spelling out Tom Marvolo Riddle, then rearranged the letters, "I am Lord Voldemort." "You see," he whispered. "It was a name I was already using at Hogwarts, among my closest friends. Did you think I would keep my filthy Muggle father's name forever? I fashioned myself a new name, one wizards everywhere would fear to speak when I became the greatest sorcerer in the world." Harry laughed, a short, sharp sound that echoed through the chamber. "You're not." Riddle's smile faltered. "Not what?" "Not the greatest sorcerer in the world. Sorry to disappoint you, but Albus Dumbledore is widely considered the greatest wizard alive. Everyone says so. Even at your peak, you feared Dumbledore." Fury distorted Riddle's handsome features. "Dumbledore has been driven out of this castle by the mere memory of me." "He's not as gone as you might think," Harry bluffed, stalling for time. "Where was Sathka? Surely the Basilisk had heard them by now." "It doesn't matter," Riddle said, regaining his composure. "I didn't bring you here to discuss Dumbledore. I brought you here to learn your secrets." He leaned closer, studying Harry's scar. "And to meet the mysterious creature who's been interfering with my connection to Slytherin's monster." Harry froze. So Riddle had sensed Sathka after all. "Oh yes," Riddle continued, smiling at Harry's reaction. "I felt it, another presence, blocking my commands to the Basilisk. At first, I thought it was Dumbledore's doing, but it's you, isn't it? Somehow, the famous Harry Potter has formed his own connection with Slytherin's beast." "The Basilisk isn't a beast," Harry said quietly. "And it's not yours to command anymore." Riddle's eyes narrowed. "We shall see about that." He turned toward Slytherin's statue and hissed in perfect Parseltongue, "Speak to me, Slytherin, greatest of the Hogwarts Four." The statue's mouth began to open. Harry tensed, ready to call for Sathka, but instead of the familiar emerald scales, something else emerged from the darkness, smaller, serpentine, but clearly not Sathka. It was a shadowy approximation of a basilisk, semi-transparent like Riddle himself, with glowing red eyes instead of yellow. A magical construct, not a living creature. "What the—" Harry began, but Riddle cut him off. "You didn't think I'd rely entirely on controlling the real basilisk, did you?" He laughed coldly. "I've been drawing Ginny's life force for months, creating my own weapon, one that answers only to me. It's not as powerful as the true monster of Slytherin, but more than sufficient to kill you." The shadow basilisk lunged forward with impossible speed. Harry dove aside, rolling across the chamber floor as stone cracked where he'd stood seconds before. Flipendo! Harry shouted, but his knockback jinx passed harmlessly through the construct. Riddle laughed. Physical spells won't work on my creation. It's not fully corporeal yet, just like me. Harry backed away, mind racing. If physical spells wouldn't work, perhaps magical energy would. Drawing on Safka's teachings, Harry focused on his magical core, channeling raw power through his wand. Lumos Maxima, he yelled, pouring far more energy into the spell than it required. A burst of blinding white light erupted from his wand, illuminating the entire chamber. The shadow basilisk recoiled, hissing in pain as the light seemed to dissolve its edges. Interesting, Riddle murmured. But not enough. The shadow recovered quickly, circling for another attack. Harry continued retreating, moving closer to Ginny's prone form. He needed to reach the diary, the source of Riddle's power and the anchor for his construct. Safka! Harry called in Parseltongue. I need you. The chamber walls trembled slightly. From a hidden passage beneath Slytherin's statue, the true basilisk emerged, magnificent, solid, and very real compared to Riddle's shadow creation. I am here, little speaker, Safka responded, keeping his deadly gaze averted from Harry. Riddle's eyes widened in shock. Impossible. You answer to him willingly? I chose him, Safka confirmed. Just as Hogwarts chose him. You are but a shadow of a corrupted heir, Tom Riddle. You have no power here anymore. The shadow basilisk hissed threateningly at Safka, but the real basilisk was unconcerned. With a powerful lunge, Safka struck at the construct, only to pass through it, his massive jaws closing on empty air. My shadow can't harm your pet, but neither can your pet harm my shadow, Riddle observed, looking triumphant. Quite the stalemate. However, he gestured toward Ginny, the girl continues to fade. In a few minutes, she'll be gone, and I'll be fully restored. Then my shadow will gain corporeal form as well. Harry locked eyes with Safka, a silent understanding passing between them. He needed to destroy the diary directly. Distracted, Harry hissed quietly to Safka, who immediately engaged the shadow construct, weaving complex patterns across the chamber floor that forced the shadow to follow. Harry sprinted toward Ginny, ducking as Riddle fired a spell at him. Protego, he shouted, deflecting a second curse. Riddle's expression darkened. You're more skilled than a second year should be. Another mystery to solve before I kill you. Harry reached Ginny and dropped to his knees beside her. The diary lay clutched in her cold hands, pulsing with dark energy. When he tried to pry it loose, it burned his fingers, sending pain shooting up his arm. It won't release her until she's dead, Riddle said casually. Or until I'm satisfied with our little chat. Tell me, Harry, how did you connect with Slytherin's basilisk? How did a Gryffindor become a Parselmouth? Harry glanced at Safka, still keeping the shadow construct occupied. He needed to buy more time. You're Horcrux, Harry said flatly, watching satisfaction bloom on Riddle's face at the recognition. When your killing curse rebounded, a piece of your soul latched onto me, onto my scar. It gave me some of your abilities, including Parseltongue. Riddle's eyes gleamed with interest. Dumbledore told you this? I figured it out myself, Harry replied. Your diary is the same, a soul fragment preserved in an object. A Horcrux. My first, Riddle said proudly. Created when I was just 16, after my first kill. The mudblood girl who died right here in this chamber, or rather, in the bathroom above. Myrtle, I believe they called her. Moaning Myrtle, Harry confirmed. She's still haunting that bathroom. How poetic. My first victim eternally bound to the site of her death. Riddle's transparent form was becoming more solid by the second as Ginny grew paler. You understand much for someone so young. It makes me curious what else you know, what other powers you might possess. Harry's mind raced. He needed to get the diary to Safka. The basilisk's venom could destroy it, but how? A direct approach wouldn't work, Riddle was watching too closely. Then Harry remembered something Safka had taught him: Horcruxes, while powerful, were also narcissistic. They were drawn to displays of similar power, especially parselmagic, which they recognized as their own. "You want to see power?" Harry asked, rising to his feet. "I'll show you power no 16-year-old Riddle ever mastered." He stepped away from Ginny, moving to the center of the chamber. Raising his wand, Harry began chanting in Parseltongue, an ancient invocation Safka had taught him, designed to awaken the deeper magics built into the chamber itself. "Serpensortia maxima revelio," he commanded, pushing his magic outward. The chamber responded. The serpent carvings along the pillars began to glow with an eerie blue light, and the floor beneath Harry's feet illuminated with complex runic patterns never visible before. The magic flowed through the entire space, activating dormant enchantments Slytherin had woven into the very stones. Riddle's eyes widened, his attention completely captured by the display. Even his shadow basilisk paused, drawn to the surge of parselmagic. "That's not possible," Riddle whispered. "Those are the chamber's foundation runes, only the true heir of Slytherin can access them." "Maybe I am the true heir," Harry countered. "Maybe the chamber recognizes me now." While Riddle was distracted, Harry caught Safka's eye and flicked his gaze meaningfully toward the diary. The basilisk understood immediately, slowly repositioning himself closer to Ginny's body. "No." Riddle snarled, suspicion dawning. "You're trying to," he didn't finish the sentence. Harry released the chamber magic in a controlled explosion of energy that temporarily blinded Riddle. In that moment, Safka lunged forward, jaws closing not on the shadow construct but on the diary itself, which he ripped from Ginny's grasp with surgical precision. Riddle screamed as Safka's venomous fangs pierced the diary's cover. Ink began to pour from the book like blood, spattering the chamber floor in black pools. The shadow basilisk writhed and dissolved as its creator started to fracture, light splintering through cracks in his form. "What have you done?" Riddle shrieked, his body breaking apart. "What have you done?" Harry watched dispassionately as the Horcrux disintegrated, releasing its hold on Ginny. With a final, piercing scream, Tom Riddle exploded into nothingness, leaving only the mangled, ink-soaked diary on the chamber floor. Silence fell in the vast space. Harry rushed to Ginny, who was already showing signs of recovery, color returning to her cheeks, her breathing stronger. "Thank you," Harry said to Safka, who lowered his massive head to nudge Harry's shoulder gently. "We make a formidable team, little speaker," the basilisk replied. "But now you face a different challenge. The girl has seen me, and soon she will wake." Harry looked down at Ginny's stirring form, then at the destroyed diary. Decisions had to be made quickly. "I think it's time for the truth," he said finally. "Or at least, part of it." Ginny woke slowly, blinking in confusion at the vast chamber around her. When her gaze fell on Safka, she let out a terrified squeak and scrambled backward. "It's okay," Harry said quickly, moving between them. "He won't hurt you. He's my friend." "A friend?" Ginny stammered, staring at the enormous basilisk with wide eyes. "Harry, that's a basilisk, yes. His name is Safka. He's been helping me stop the attacks." Ginny's eyes filled with tears. "The attacks, oh God, Harry, it was me. I opened the chamber, I wrote those messages, I set something loose on the school. But I didn't mean to, I swear. The diary made me do it." "I know," Harry said gently. "It wasn't your fault. Tom Riddle's diary was possessing you." "Tom," she whispered. "He seemed so nice at first, so understanding. He listened to everything, made me feel special." Her expression crumpled. "I'm so stupid." "You're not stupid." The diary was a powerful dark artifact created by Voldemort himself when he was a student here. Nobody could have resisted it forever. Ginny gasped at the name, then looked at the ruined diary on the chamber floor. Is it destroyed?" Yes. Safka's venom took care of it. Harry helped her to her feet. But Ginny, you need to understand something. What happened here, what you've seen, it has to remain a secret. She looked between Harry and the basilisk uncertainly. You want me to lie? Not lie exactly. Just, not mention Safka. Harry ran a hand through his hair, trying to find the right words. The basilisk is supposed to be Slytherin's monster, a killer. If people knew he was down here, they'd try to kill him, Ginny finished softly. Her gaze shifted to Safka with new understanding. But he saved me, didn't he? Even though I was trying to use him to hurt people. I would never harm Hogwarts students willingly, Safka said, his voice resonating in the chamber. Ginny jumped. You can talk. He's speaking Parseltongue, Harry explained. I can understand him because, well, because of this. He touched his scar. When Voldemort tried to kill me as a baby, he accidentally transferred some of his abilities to me, including Parseltongue. That's how I found the chamber and met Safka. It wasn't the complete truth, but it was close enough, and matched the explanation Dumbledore would likely provide. Ginny considered this, then nodded slowly. So what do we tell everyone? They'll want to know what happened to the monster, how the attack stopped. Harry picked up the ruined diary. We tell them about this. About Tom Riddle possessing you through the diary. About how Riddle was using it to create some kind of shadowy construct that was attacking students. We just leave Safka out of it completely. And the chamber? We say I followed you down here, destroyed the diary, and saved you. No one needs to know I've been able to access the chamber all year. Ginny bit her lip. What about Ron and Hermione? Can I tell them? Harry hesitated. He'd been keeping this secret from his best friends for so long. Maybe it was finally time to trust them with the truth. Let's see how things go. For now, let's just focus on getting out of here and telling the professors enough to get Hermione and the others unpetrified. Together, they gathered the destroyed diary and prepared to leave the chamber. As they reached the entrance, Harry turned back to Safka. I'll return soon, he promised. This isn't over. There will be questions, investigations. I will wait, little speaker, Safka replied. As I have waited for centuries. But I sense change coming, for both of us. Harry nodded, feeling the weight of the basilisk's words. Everything would be different now. Secrets kept for nearly 7 years were about to unravel, at least partially. But perhaps that was necessary, perhaps it was time. Their emergence from the chamber created the expected sensation. Ginny, exhausted and tear-streaked, was rushed to the hospital wing. Harry, clutching the destroyed diary, was escorted directly to Dumbledore's office. To his surprise, Lucius Malfoy was there, looking thunderous as he berated Dumbledore for returning to the school after being suspended by the governors. The conversation halted abruptly when Harry entered. Potter, Malfoy sneered. Still alive, I see. No thanks to you, Harry replied coolly, holding up the ruined diary. Lucius's face paled slightly. What is that supposed to mean? Harry turned to Dumbledore. This diary belonged to Tom Riddle, who later became Voldemort. Mr. Malfoy slipped it into Ginny Weasley's cauldron at Flourish and Blots before term started. Prove it, Malfoy challenged, though his voice lacked conviction. Harry smiled thinly. I don't need to. I think we all know what would happen if the diary were examined for magical signatures, or if Ginny's memory of that day were reviewed in a pensieve. Lucius's hand tightened on his snake-headed cane. For a moment, Harry thought he might strike him, but Dumbledore cleared his throat meaningfully. I think it would be best if you left now, Lucius, the headmaster said quietly, but with unmistakable authority. Malfoy straightened his robes with a sharp tug. My house elf, headmaster. I require his assistance to depart. Of course. Dumbledore summoned Dobby with a wave of his wand. The small elf appeared, cowering at Lucius's side. Harry stared at Dobby, remembering his warning last summer. A plan formed in his mind. "Mr. Malfoy," Harry called as Lucius turned to leave. "You forgot something." He thrust the ruined diary into Malfoy's hands, having quickly removed one of his own socks and wrapped it around the book. Malfoy flung the diary aside in disgust. "What the master has given Dobby clothes," the elf exclaimed in wonder, holding up the sock that had fallen free. "Dobby is free." Lucius's face contorted with rage. He lunged for Harry, only to be blasted backward by Dobby's protective magic. "You shall not harm Harry Potter," the elf declared. "You shall leave now." With no choice and his dignity in tatters, Lucius Malfoy stormed from the office, leaving behind both diary and house elf. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled as he regarded Harry. "Most ingenious, Harry. But now, I think you owe me an explanation of tonight's events." Harry took a deep breath and launched into his prepared story. He explained about noticing Ginny's odd behavior, suspecting the diary's influence, following her to the chamber, and confronting Riddle's memory. He described the shadow construct Riddle had created to attack students, technically true, if incomplete, and how destroying the diary had eliminated both Riddle and his creation. "And how did you destroy the diary?" Dumbledore asked, examining the Fong punctures in the ruined book. "I found a Fong in the chamber," Harry improvised. "From the original Basilisk, I think. It must have died years ago. I stabbed the diary with it." Dumbledore studied him for a long moment. "The Chamber of Secrets is a place of ancient magic, Harry. Few have ever seen it. Would you be willing to show it to me?" Harry had anticipated this request. "Of course, Professor. But I'm not sure I can open it again. The entrance requires Parseltongue, and sometimes it just comes to me in the moment. I can't always control it." It was a deliberate misdirection. Harry could access the chamber any time he wished, but he needed to limit others' ability to enter Safka's domain. "I understand," Dumbledore said, though his penetrating gaze suggested he didn't entirely believe Harry's explanation. "Perhaps another time, when you feel more confident in your abilities." The interview concluded with Dumbledore awarding Harry 200 points for Gryffindor and a special award for services to the school. As Harry prepared to leave, the headmaster asked one final question. "Harry, is there anything else you wish to tell me? Anything at all?" Harry paused at the door, considering. There was so much unsaid between them, about Horcruxes, about the fragment in Harry's scar, about Safka. But the time wasn't right, not yet. "No, sir. Nothing else." The Mandrake restorative draft was completed the following week, restoring all petrification victims to full health. Hermione's return from the hospital wing was particularly emotional. She flung herself at Harry and Ron, hugging them fiercely. "You solved it. You actually solved it," she exclaimed, beaming at them. "McGonagall told us all about the diary and Tom Riddle." Harry and Ron exchanged glances over her shoulder. "Yeah," Ron said awkwardly. "Harry did most of the work, though. I was stuck behind a cave-in trying to dig through." Later, in the privacy of an empty classroom, Harry shared more details with Ron and Hermione, though still carefully editing out Safka's existence. He did, however, reveal his Parseltongue ability had come from Voldemort through his scar. "That makes perfect sense," Hermione breathed. "A magical transfer during the killing curse. I wonder what else might have transferred." "Hopefully nothing," Harry said, uncomfortable with how close her speculation was to the truth about Horcruxes. Ron was more concerned about his sister. "Ginny's going to be okay, right? I mean, being possessed by you-know-who, that's got to mess with your head." "She's stronger than you think," Harry assured him. "But she might need her brothers to be a bit more attentive next year. No more excluding her or treating her like a baby." The final weeks of term passed in a blur of sunshine and celebration. Exams were cancelled as a school treat, Hagrid returned from Azkaban with tearful apologies to Harry for suspecting him, and Lucius Malfoy was removed from the school board of governors. Ginny recovered gradually, supported by her brothers and new friends. She kept Harry's secret faithfully, though sometimes he would catch her watching him with questions in her eyes, questions they both knew would eventually need answers. On their last night at Hogwarts, Harry made a final visit to the chamber. Sathka was waiting, coiled comfortably in the main hall. "You've managed well, little speaker," the Basilisk observed. "The diary is destroyed, the attacks have ended, and your secret remains largely intact." "For now," Harry agreed, settling cross-legged on the chamber floor. "But Dumbledore suspects something. And Ginny knows parts of the truth. Perhaps it is time to widen our circle of trust. The challenges ahead will require allies." Harry nodded thoughtfully. "I've been thinking the same thing. Hermione's research skills would be invaluable for understanding Horcruxes better. And Ron's strategic mind, plus, they're my best friends. Keeping this from them feels wrong. Trust your instincts. They have not led you astray thus far." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, Harry leaning against Sathka's warm scales. The events of the past year had changed everything. The revelation of Horcruxes explained how Voldemort had survived death, and suggested there might be more soul fragments out there to find and destroy. "We know there are at least 2 Horcruxes, the diary and whatever's in my scar," Harry said finally. "If Voldemort created multiple Horcruxes, finding and destroying them all becomes our priority. A hunt that may take years," Sathka cautioned. "And will almost certainly bring you into direct conflict with both Voldemort's followers and, perhaps more dangerously, Dumbledore's plans for you." Harry nodded grimly. "I've been Dumbledore's chess piece and Voldemort's nemesis. Maybe it's time I became something else entirely, something neither of them expects. What do you propose?" A slow smile spread across Harry's face. "A bridge. Between houses, between factions. I've played the perfect Gryffindor while hiding my Slytherin connections. What if I stopped hiding? Not completely, not about you, not yet, but what if I started building alliances beyond my house?" Sathka's massive head tilted thoughtfully. "An intriguing strategy. The Hat wanted you in Slytherin for good reason. You have the cunning for such a path." "I'll start next term," Harry decided. "Reach out to students in other houses who might be valuable allies. Malfoy's been watching me all year, maybe it's time I gave him something to really think about." "A dangerous game," Sathka warned. "But potentially rewarding. Be careful whom you trust, little speaker." Harry stood, brushing dust from his robes. "I learned caution from the best." He placed a hand on Sathka's snout in farewell. "I'll see you in September. Try not to get too bored without me. I've endured centuries of solitude. A few months is but a moment." The Basilisk's tone softened. "Be safe, Harry Potter. Our journey together is only beginning." On the Hogwarts Express home, Harry sat with Ron, Hermione, and Ginny, watching the Scottish countryside roll past. His thoughts drifted to the coming year and the changes he planned to implement. For 6 years, Sathka had been his secret, his advantage. Now that secret was beginning to unravel, but perhaps that wasn't entirely bad. The Basilisk had chosen Harry at age 5, forming a connection that had saved his life multiple times. Maybe it was time for that connection to help save others too. As the train neared London, Harry made his decision. Next term, he would begin building his own circle of trusted allies, starting with the 2 friends sitting across from him and the girl who already shared part of his secret. The path ahead would be challenging. Voldemort would return eventually, seeking both the prophecy child who had defeated him and the chamber's power he coveted. Dumbledore would continue his chess game, moving pieces according to plans decades in the making. But Harry Potter was no longer just a piece on their board. With Sathka's guidance and his growing circle of allies, he was becoming a player in his own right, the heir of 2 houses, bridging ancient rivalries and forging a new path through the coming darkness. The true power of the chamber's secret was not in its monster or its myths, but in the union it had created between a lonely boy and an ancient guardian. Together, they had already rewritten history once. Soon, they would rewrite it again. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.